Hello, I'm Kamali, taking you through the stories people are talking about and sharing around the world on Newsfeed today. Ask and she shall receive. The president of China can rule for life. We look at how the state censors are stopping anyone attempting to criticize him and the new law online. We take you to Bogota the day after the elections. Elections meant to cement Colombia's peace have perhaps highlighted its cracks. Keep calm and wash your clothes. Why did British police take so long to warn people about possible contamination after the poisoning of a former Russian spy? And Spidey sense, an Australian tarantula saves life and all 8 limbs by clinging to a branch during a flood. Well, that's the top of the newsfeed, and it is confirmed China has changed its constitution. Xi can rule for life if he wants to. Only 2 of the 3,000 delegates who voted went against the plan to remove presidential term limits. Since it was suggested a week ago, the online debate about the merits of the move have been very one-sided, not least because Chinese censors have been carefully monitoring what anyone posts. So what's it like to browse the internet in China? Here's Samantha Vardas.
Well, China has been quick to scrub the internet clean of any criticism towards Xi Jinping today. And while all the usual suspects have been blocked, like pictures of Winnie the Pooh, who apparently resembles Xi Jinping, one thing that has stood out here in China today is this term, the 6 gentlemen of the 100 Days Reform. Now, this refers to the 6 men who famously tried to bring about reform during the Qing dynasty. And many people are drawing comparisons to these 6 people who didn't show their support for the scrapping of the presidential term limits last night. Of course, we saw 2 people vote against, 3 abstain, and 1 vote was invalid. Now, if I try to search this term in Weiwei, which is China's answer to Twitter, 6 gentlemen of the 100 Days Reform, there you see we get a note saying, sorry, nothing related to this phrase is found. Now, another thing that we see during big political events here in China is the blocking of memes that circulate on social media websites like WeChat. Now, I can show you an example here. If I go to our group chat in the newsroom here in Beijing, and I try to put in a meme of Xi Jinping clapping there, a very famous one here in China. Show you my colleague's phone in the same group chat, and it doesn't show up. Now, of course, Xi's rule has been characterised largely by crackdowns and censorship like this, and of course now with the ability to stay on indefinitely, many people here fear that this is just the beginning.
Samantha Vardas there. And China's most famous dissident, the artist Weiwei, has had his input while unveiling his work, The Ship of Lost Souls, at the Sydney Biennale. The giant refugee boat is his criticism of the Western world's treatment of refugees, and he didn't miss the opportunity to criticise China too.
China has always been, emperor state. It doesn't matter, it has its title of communist, now capitalism, but it's a feudalistic society. So a changes leader or not changing leader, the system and the culture always stays the same.
All right, let's take a look at what else is trending now on social media. Tens of thousands of Indian farmers have just finished a 6-day march to Mumbai in protest over loan repayments and electricity bills. Meena Basharan and her friends were on their way home to Istanbul after celebrating her bachelorette party in Dubai when their private plane crashed in Iran. All 11 people on board died. And the songster Ed Sheeran has held an impromptu show in an alley in the Australian city of Melbourne. Around 1,000 fans were lucky enough to catch him perform his hit song Perfect, or unlucky that they were trying to take a shortcut through the alley and ended up being sung to about dancing in the dark and being barefoot on grass. All right, let's Let's take you to Colombia now and a historic election. The FARC, a Marxist group who were created to overthrow the Colombian state some 50 years ago, have stood in official elections for the first time, and they've failed hard. Well, Dimitri O'Donnell is in Bogota and was judging this for us. Dimitri, good to speak to you again. So just how badly did the FARC do?
They performed really badly. They got just 0.4% of the total vote. That's about 51,000 out of 15 million votes that were cast yesterday. So it's a really bad week for the FARC. Now, despite their poor performance, the FARC leadership said they were proud of their participation in their first ever legislative elections, but it's a sound rejection of the FARC and their policies by the Colombian electorate. Now, it wasn't FARC actually that was trending on social media here in Colombia after the polls closed at 4 p.m. yesterday. It was another term. It was fraude electoral, or electoral fraud. And that's because in some of the presidential primaries in some polling stations, there weren't enough ballot papers printed for voters on the left and the right to cast their vote for the candidates. So that led to scenes of anger in some polling stations and cries of fraud, which is common in Colombia when Colombians go out to vote. Turnout was also low as expected, below 50%, 48% estimated turned out to vote.
And of course, Dimitri, even though they did so badly, they're still going to get 10 seats, is that right, in Congress?
They are going to get 10 guaranteed seats, but their hand is weakened going into Congress because a lot of the right wing, which has surged in these elections, they will just see the FARC really as symbols of this peace deal that was signed with President Santos in 2016. The real story of these elections is the rise of the right wing and the Democratic Center Party, led by former President Alvaro Uribe, who is opposed to the peace deal and parts of the peace deal and especially critical of the FARC. His preferred candidate, Ivan Duque, also won the right-wing presidential primary yesterday, meaning he faces off against this ex-guerrilla Gustavo Petro from the left, and they will be two of the leading candidates in May's presidential election. The overall rise of the right does spell trouble for the peace process because the new Congress has about 12 laws that it can approve in relation to the peace process. It also has the power to amend these laws. So we're likely to see significant parts of the peace accord at least watered down under this new Congress. President Santos's party, which was the leading party prior to these elections, was relegated to 5th position.
That's a big election and a presidential election to come. Dimitri in Bogota, thank you for that. Now, a week ago, a Russian former spy was poisoned in a British city. He was with his daughter and they're both critically ill in hospital. Now, police still don't know the exact poison used, but it's obviously massively toxic and dangerous. So many are wondering why only now authorities are telling people who were in Salisbury city centre last week to wash their clothes.
That surely comes a little bit late. I would have thought common sense made those people who went to those two places, wash, all their clothes and their hair.
I don't know why it was delayed that long, but want for a better word, I think it was a bit slow in the reaction.
Investigations, they can't show their hand too early, and because for obvious reasons, especially how the investigation's going, because it might incriminate it or whatever reason. But yeah, I think it's they're doing a good job.
So it's Monday morning here in London. As we enter news agencies, we're being greeted by some pretty hysterical headlines. Let's have a look at a couple of them. First one, wash and burn. Second one, spy poison. Keep calm but wash your clothes. Third one, poisoned spy. Why did it take so long to raise the alarm over the health threat? But we've learnt this morning that there's actually no need to hit the panic button. The toxicologists we've spoken to have said anyone who was exposed to the nerve agent that the Skripals were exposed to would already be sick. They'd already be in hospital. They'd certainly know about it. But of course, the health authorities do have to cover themselves, and there is a slight chance that a minute amount of that nerve agent could still be on someone's clothes. So that's why they're asking them all to wash them. And this idea that there's been some sort of cover-up, that people weren't told quickly enough, well, that's a stretch too. Yes, there was a week between the Skripals being poisoned and the health warning going out. The health authorities say they only found out about those trace elements in the pub and the restaurant a couple of days ago. As soon as they found out, they told the public. So basically, nothing to see here, and we can all go back to the very British mantra of keeping calm and carrying on.
It just goes to prove you can't believe everything you read, but you can believe our Sarah Morris. Now let's take you around the world for all the other stories you need to know this Monday. At least 38 people are dead after a plane crash in the international airport in Nepal. The plane is operated by US Bangla, a Bangladeshi airline, and caught fire after veering off the runway on landing. A helicopter crashed into New York's East River. 2 people were found dead at the scene, while another 3 died in hospital. The pilot survived. President Putin says he ordered a Pegasus passenger jet to be shot down back in 2014. He was told a passenger jet had been hijacked and was aiming for the opening ceremony of the Winter Games in Sochi. 110 people were on board and 40,000 were in the stadium for the ceremony. Now, he made the claim in a film called Putin, which is available on Russian social media. Russians will vote in a presidential election on March the 18th. And the tech billionaire Elon Musk wants to start testing a spacecraft that'll take people to Mars. He said he wants to start a colony on the Red Planet in case of nuclear war here on Earth. Thanks, Elon. All right, let me take you to northern Syria now and a look at the aid and medicine being distributed in a war zone. Our Shamim sent us this.
I've just been introduced to these 2 young men who live in this village. Now, this is Ahmed and this is Mustafa. They've been waiting for some time now for medical supplies that they're going to take to their home. Now, this is the village of Der Balut. It was one of the first villages to be freed by the Turkish army and the Free Syrian Army, and it is mainly Kurdish. Now, in here, there's basic food supplies, there are some medical supplies, and there's some items for young children as well. As you can see, they're having a bit of a struggle loading it on, but they have been waiting for these supplies for quite some time now.
We're not thinking too precious in that box. Now, war refugees have to do whatever they can, as you can see, to feed themselves and their families. Here's the story of a guy who used music.
الضغط النفسي اللي عايشينه من الحرب سوريا، نحن هلا شوي خف الضغط عنا بشكل انه اولادنا صاروا بالمدرسه. عقدي بالكافيتيريا لانه انا صعب لاقي شيء من اختصاص اللي انا بدي اياه اللي هو الموسيقى. صاروا بالمجتمع فعالين مثل البلجيك وما عاد في اي صعوبه بعتقد، وهلا الحياه ماشيه افضل.
Nice story there to start your Monday. Now, if you're anything like me and you hate spiders, you might want to turn away now. This giant Australian tarantula was seen clinging, yes, that's a giant spider, clinging to a branch during floods in the far north of Queensland. Now, despite its terrifying appearance, locals saved it, don't know why, taking it off the branch and putting it in an avocado tree. Now, these guys are known as bird-eating or whistling spiders and can grow pretty big, 16 centimetres in width. That is huge and terrifying. All right, well, that's all from all of us here on Newsfeed. You can reach me 24/7 on Twitter. I'm at Kamali Melbourne. Do find us on YouTube and Facebook. Make sure you subscribe and follow and add. I will see you again tomorrow.